Sergio, man. How you doing?
I'm good.
You got the cameras out.
So far, it's been a slow start to the year, but you can't break me.
A hard hit line drive into right field.
So my year this year, I know a lot of people got a lot to say about it. Whatever. It's my career. I got to make sure that I'm good.
After the game, I was called into the manager's office. It's definitely a moment I won't forget.
Hey everybody, welcome into Road to the 𝗏, the White Sox podcast that focuses on player development. How do the young players of today turn into future White Sox and become the best ball players they can be? Really excited for today's show because we're going to talk with Sergio Santos, AAA manager for the Charlotte Knights. Sergio's been in the White Sox organization for a couple of years now, having managed 𝗂𝗏 𝗵𝗶𝗹 last season. So he knows a lot of these guys that are now Chicago White Sox. In fact, Sergio has sent 7 different players to go make their major league debut with the White Sox this year. You have more than likely seen the call-up videos where Sergio's in his office letting guys like Edgar Quero and Kyle Teel know that they're going to the bigs for the first time. Oh, and of course, Coulson Montgomery, who's here now, and we'll talk about quite a bit on the podcast. So, without further ado, excited for this one. Here's a conversation I had with AAA manager Sergio Santos. So, joining us now on Road to the 𝗏 is Sergio Santos, the manager for the AAA Charlotte Knights. Sergio, thanks so much for coming on. Been hoping to have you on this podcast for a little while, and it's kind of good timing because as you and I sit here and talk now, we'll peel back the curtain. 𝗵𝗏 will pitch in a Futures game tomorrow as we talk, and you've had him in the rotation for a little while here. So you kind of get to sit back during the All-Star break and watch a guy you know pretty well pitch in a pretty cool game.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of just wished him luck before he left and, just reminded him to enjoy it. Like, that's such a great experience. And just to go out there and enjoy it.
We focus on player dev in this podcast, right? And your job is so much more than player development. You've got a lot of things going on. And I kind of want to dig into, what is, what isn't, what you have to kind of think about as you go about things, and also trying to win games and making sure guys are in the right place to succeed. But when it comes to a guy like Noah, he's gone to the Futures game before. He's got an incredible amount of talent. He has struggled some in Charlotte with a few of his starts. Paul Janisch and I have talked a lot. Ryan Fuller and I have talked a lot about the hidden benefits of maybe hitting a road bump at AAA, at 𝗂𝗏 in the minors. In a way, it gets out of the way. How do you talk with Noah about that and measure also kind of, his willingness and desire to strike literally everyone out that he can?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Connor, you hit it right on the head, man. Guys like that, right, they've never, for lack of a better term, failed, or they've never gone through that roadblock. They've always had success at every step they've pitched. But I challenge it, like looking at it from the other side of the coin, right? Like, what can you learn from this? How can you grow from this? And so Noah's stuff is so, it's so elite that he's now understanding that just having elite stuff isn't enough, right? Like the execution of the game plan, the execution of his pitches, all that is just as critical. So I have no doubt in my mind that he's going to be able to figure it out. But like you said, I'd rather have him go through this here in Charlotte than, in Chicago playing against the Indians, so to speak, say tonight. And so I have no doubt that he's going to learn from this, grow from it, and it's going to make him a better pitcher.
What are your coaching points to him when he comes back to you from the All-Star break from the Futures game? What do you and the pitching staff, really want him to work on and focus on and to perhaps get him here at 35th and Shields maybe later on in the season?
Yeah, it's just, not waste too many pitches. His stuff is so good that once he understands if he attacks in the zone, he's going to get hitters out, right? Like, you can't get a strikeout without strike one. And that's what I try to impress on the players, where it's like, focus on what you can control. Strike one. Then once that pitch is over, you're done. Focus on strike two. And just pitch to pitch, not kind of get too far ahead of himself. Like I said, the stuff is there. His mentality is there. He's a competitor. It's just getting them to fine tune some of those things. And instead of an at-bat that would take 6 or 7 pitches, can now take 3 or 4.
I want to ask you about how player development has changed since you were a player being developed, both as a hitter, because a lot of White Sox fans know you were a shortstop coming up through the minor leagues and then transitioned over to the pitching side. But if you didn't, well, now you do. How has it changed since you were being developed into how you're helping develop players now? What are the big, alterations in the last 10 years or so?
Gosh, man, it's when I first got into this, I was like, it's so foreign. Obviously, with all the analytics, with all the information, with everything they have, we didn't have that back in the day. It was just kind of like, hey, strap it on and play, and then we get to it tomorrow. So there's a lot more information that these guys kind of have at their fingertips. But at the end of the day, it's still baseball, right? Like I'm a firm believer that player development is number one. But I think if player development is done the right way, like you're going to win games. And so a credit to 𝗵𝗨, like when we had our meetings in spring, it was, we came up with doing winning things, right? Where it's like, we do want to win ball games. We want to express that to our players, the importance of winning. And I think 𝗻𝗏 set the tone early in spring by saying that, like, we want guys that are going to help us win in Chicago, right? So I stress that to the players. But we never lose sight of development. Like that's always key and most important, right? Like case in point, if we have a lefty hitting and there's a lefty coming out of the bullpen, I'm not quick to just pull him and put a right-handed hitter in there. Like I want him to learn how to hit left-handed pitching because if he's going to be an everyday player, he's going to face those kind of guys. So I think there's a fine balance to it. Player development is one, but like I said, if you do it right, you can win games.
How do you, as a manager, go about determining the difference between a guy who, maybe he's going through a struggle, maybe he's got something off the field going on? There are guys that need an attaboy, and there are guys that need, a kick, right? A little bit. There's a lot of ways you can say that in baseball. Here on the podcast, we're a little limited, but you know what I'm talking about. Guys that need a little bit more than that. Does your player background help you in identifying, who needs what and when? How do you go about deciding that?
Yeah, you said it. Like, I was explaining earlier, I didn't know if I wanted to be a manager or not, but I think the uniqueness of my background, I can relate to every single guy in my dugout. And I also take pride in building relationships with every single guy in my dugout. So it's checking in with them daily, right? Like, hey, what's going on? How's the family? What's happening here? And just kind of reading their body language and just kind of the energy that they're giving me. And I think if you do it well enough and you're in tune, you'll know which guy needs the kick in the butt and which guy needs the kind of the arm around. And it's like, hey, I know you're going through it, but you're going to get through it. I promise.
You've been with the White Sox now for 2 years, going back to AA with Birmingham and now AAA with the Charlotte Knights. It's an interesting point in the White Sox front office and in their growth. What are the changes that you've seen as Chris Getz and Paul Jan-ish, Josh Barfield and Brian Bannister and Ryan Fuller? We're going to put all the names underneath so everybody remembers them. What are the big changes that you've seen as a manager in terms of your, I guess support is probably the word I'm looking for, but if you'd like to redefine that in terms of your coaching abilities and kind of molding players, what are the big moves, big changes?
Yeah, no, like you said, that group of names right there is a pretty special group. And I think it puts us in player development in a really good position because we have these people we can go to and bounce things off and hey, this is kind of where this player's at. What do you think we need to do? And they're very knowledgeable in the game. They're very good baseball guys. So it makes my job a lot easier. And I think you can kind of see, from the start of last year, like, the term rebuild, right? But you see the pieces kind of going on that chessboard and if you can look moves down the line, you're kind of like, okay, I kind of like where this is aligning. And so we just got to keep doing what we're doing. We just got to keep developing these guys into players that can one day help Chicago.
How does having managed at all these levels, high A and AA and AAA, help you in terms of kind of relating to all levels of development for these players, right? Like the guy in high A who's 20 and just got there is not the same kind of player he'll be when he's, 22 and in AAA.
Exactly right. Yeah. So I started rookie ball in the FCL my first year, and then I went to high A, and then I went to AA, and I went to AAA. And I'm glad I started in rookie ball because when you're there with the 18, 19-year-olds, you see they're just so green. You see the excitement, the love of the game, but how much they have to learn about professional baseball. And so it's teaching that. And then the next step was, okay, now they're a little bit older, they're a little bit wiser, but there's still a lot for them to learn. AA was that blend of incredible talent, but just the fine tuning of what they need to be a Major League Baseball player. And then here in AAA, it's that blend of guys that have been in the big leagues who really want to get back, and then some young prospects that are trying to get there. So it's been fun because my pillars have been the same, but just the messaging I've had to tweak a little bit at every level.
I like that a lot. Actually, we'll pull back the curtain again. As you and I are talking, yesterday the White Sox were rained out in their first game against the Guardians. They're set for 2 this afternoon. So as Chuck and 𝗦𝗍 and Brooke Fletcher and I were all kind of sitting in the green room waiting to see what was going to happen with the ball game, we all got to talking. I should correct that. Ozzy got to talking. We all got to listening. And one of the things that Ozzy pointed out was that in the minors, where he'd really like to see a lot of focus, more coaches, more money spent, all this kind of stuff, is in those low levels with 18 and 19-year-olds, because you've got to make that foundation. You have to establish those pillars, like you'd said, and make that foundation. What's he talking about there? In what ways and what kinds of things do you feel that those young players need to be provided for and developed so that they can become the best baseball players they can be once they get to you at AAA?
Yeah, it's all the technical stuff, right? Like the more hands, the more boots you have on the ground for that younger group, the better. I mean, it's tough in player development. You have 4 staff members, all these players, and when they're young, they just need time. They just need experience and going out doing the early work, basically working on all fundamental stuff. Like you can't be a finished product. All the best major league players I played with or played against, their foundation was strong. They were fundamentally sound. They knew how to catch the ball, throw the ball. They were going to have tough at bats, and it's all that you can instill in that young age. Like I said earlier, when they're green, they're excited about it. They want to get better. They want to be a major league baseball player. So I think Ozzy's absolutely correct. I mean, he was my manager, and I loved him being my manager. And it was that, like, worry about what you can control. Hitting is hard enough. Pitching is tough. But if you can do all the little things right, you're going to give yourself a chance to win a ball game.
Now that you've got the experience you do managing at AAA over these last years, if you could go back to Sergio Santos in the FCL and provide him some advice on, hey, here's what I've learned over the last couple of years in terms of relating to developing or coaching these players, what sorts of things would you tell him now? What are you happy to have learned and gotten better at over the last few years?
Yeah, it's just, what I tell them is, you think of getting better as these huge steps and leaps forward, and it's not really the case, right? Like, this is an incredibly difficult game. So it's almost, and I tell even the players here, it's just be better than you were yesterday, right? Like, if you can be 1% better than you were the day before, by the end of 365 days, you're going to have become a whole lot better. And so it's not so much them searching. This game it's a beautiful game, but it's extremely difficult. And it's like, there's never this aha moment. And it's like, boom, you take off and you have a great career. It's something that you need to work at consistently day after day after day for a very long period of time. And it's the people that can do that, right? And keep the focus on being present and be where my feet are. Like, here's where I am. I know where I want to get to, but you almost reverse engineer. And how do I get there? And it's like, well, I got to be a little bit better than this. And I would tell them that struggling is a part of this game. Failure is a part of this game. Like, it's going to happen. Just flat out, I'm telling you now, it's going to happen. But if you can learn from it and move forward, then you're on the right path.
Do you struggle at times going from the 10,000-foot view as a manager now to the everyday? And if so, what does that look like? In what ways does that kind of rear its head for you, and how do you zero back in?
Yeah, I just go back. I keep myself grounded, right? And I put all my focus and energy into the players. It's as a manager, I can see certain things that as a player you don't see, right? Because you're in the thick of it. You're here, you're right here, and that's all you're focused on. But being a manager, like I can kind of see from above and know what path he's taken, or if it's a bad attitude or whatever the case is. And it's just, I try to nip it in the bud as quick as possible, right? Like I try not to let it go on and fester and fester and fester. I try to attack it as quick as possible.
We've talked a lot about you up here at the big league level, the media has, because I think you're in a unique position. You've done more, hey kid, you're going to the show CallUps than perhaps anybody in the history of the game, certainly on video. Critique your style, Sergio. How are you doing with these? What do we have? Are there props for the next one? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, no, I don't know, man. It's just I know how special of a moment it is for these players that I want to do my best. Like you can't help but like go back to when you were first given that news that you're going to be a major league player, and not only impacting the player, but like, right, it takes a village for somebody to get to that level. So you know it's going to impact everybody. The hardest thing is like having that information, and you see the kid walking around, you're like, man, I'm about to give you some news that's just going to change your life. But no, I do. I take a lot of pride in doing it because I know it's a special moment for that player and his family. And I just try to be genuine and authentic with them. I just feel like that's the best way to go. And the White Sox were the one that provided me with a prop in the colored shirt, which I thought was a great touch because it kind of showed who Kyle Teal was, giving his shirt off his back for a teammate. And I'm a big believer in karma, man. What goes around comes around.
I love the collared shirt so much, right? Because it's this tangible symbol. It's this thing it's not a baseball tool. It's not like a mitt or spikes or anything. It's like this, hey, this is your job now. You know what I mean? Like this is for real. Go get it. I just think that's such a cool symbol that you guys threw into this thing.
Yeah, it was neat. And then, Edgar Caro's, you just see the sheer emotion. I was with Edgar all, last year in Birmingham. And it's just, what the viewers don't see, it's the day-to-day work, the sweat, blood, tears of a whole season, and him wanting to get better. So, when breaking that news to him and just seeing his face, it gives me chills just thinking about it. But, I mean, that's what makes these super long hours in player development where I'm at the field from 10 in the morning to 10 o'clock at night so worth it, right? It's like this kid realizing his dream.
We hear from these guys, whether it's – I'm going to go through the list here too. It's Edgar Caro, Chase Mydroth, Kyle Teal, Tim Elko, Coulson Montgomery, Caleb Freeman, and Wickelman Gonzalez. 7 different players that you've gotten to send to the show for the first time, not to mention all the other, AAA call-ups where guys, going back to the show. We know, because the first thing we ask when they get to the clubhouse is, hey, who told you, how did you find out, and who did you call first? So we know how that works. Who tells Sergio Santos that you're calling Caro into the locker room or that you're calling Elko into your office and sending him up? How do you get that call? How does that get told to you? And what goes through your brain when you get to go do this?
Yeah, no, good question. Yeah, so it's usually Josh Barfield will reach out and say, hey, this is kind of what we're thinking. And then if it's not Barfield, it's Paul Jan-ish. So there's direct communication all the way through. And then instantly, once I get the name, I kind of sit back and I think about my relationship with that player and how I feel like this wonderful news will be best conveyed and kind of how I'm going to approach it.
Do you, when Josh or Paul calls, you've got a sense, right? I mean, because you've been watching this guy every day, and it's like, hey, this is probably the Caro call. Hey, this is probably the. But have you been surprised by one or two here or there? Like, what is it? What happens when you're like, oh man, Caleb Freeman's going up? That's great.
Yeah, Caleb Freeman was one of the ones where you're kind of like, whoa, okay. But again, I had Caleb last year, so it's. Those are always neat. Like, obviously, it's, the Coulson Montgomerys that everybody's waiting for, the Chase Mydroth, which you were expecting just because he's such a great player. But, yeah, to see Wickelman and Freeman, like, guys that you're kind of like, oh, okay, like, nice. They are paying attention and kind of seeing these guys grind and work and put up some numbers to get an opportunity to help them out in Chicago.
We've seen Coulson now for a couple of days here in Chicago. Obviously, that it's been an odyssey for him this year. I mean, he's talked about it. You've talked about it. Everybody has. Is there a good way that to kind of encapsulate both the player and person for White Sox fans watching this? I mean, it's almost a too easy story to tell now because of how unique it is that he went to Arizona and came back to you. But what has his year meant, up to this point, July 11th, for you?
It's meant a lot to me. I started building my relationship with Coulson in spring and because I knew he was going to start out in Charlotte. And it was tough to break the news. He knew he was struggling. He knew he didn't get off to the start he wanted. And kind of like I said in that video, I made them that promise that if you're going to go down there for 10 days, 11 days, whatever it is. If you go down there nonchalant, kind of throw a pity party and get nothing out of it, then you're just going to burn another 3 weeks. But if you go down there with a purpose, and really commit yourself to wanting to get better and getting with Fuller and just being creative on how we can get the best Coulson Montgomery, it's going to feel like a step back just for some giant leaps forward. And to his credit, Fuller's credit, they did that. And he came back and he had a great attitude even when he was struggling. He still played good defense. He did all these things. So to see him have that success, and then the week that he had in Toledo where it was like, okay, this is the guy, right? And it's tough for people to understand is there's just so many expectations, and you forget that he's still young, and he puts all this on his shoulders. But I challenge them every day to be present, right? Like it's hard not to think ahead when you go 3 for 4 with 2 home runs and be like, oh, okay, am I close? Am I getting called up? But I would challenge him like, hey, you're in Toledo right now. Like we're in Charlotte. Let's take care of this, because when you take care of this, all this other stuff is going to work itself out. And he did an awesome job. And I'm just happy. I'm just so happy for him that he's gotten up to the start he has. He's made some spectacular plays on defense, but we all knew that's the Coulson that we knew. Like he's just an incredible athlete. And sometimes we kind of clog our brain up, but if we can have clarity there and you just let the athleticism take over, you knew something special was going to happen.
Last one for you, and it's kind of a two-parter here. It may be the toughest question I ask, because at some point it's like picking a favorite child. That's what I'm going to have to ask you for here. What are you most excited for in the second half of the season for the Charlotte Knights? And if you could, a position player and a pitcher that deserve a little shine, right? I mean, I do the best I can, and we all do the best we can to, put our light on the Coulson Montgomery and the guys ranked on the top 30 and all this kind of stuff. I try really hard on the show to bring guys out like Zach Franklin down at AA, or Addison Coffey when he was pitching really well and has struck out like 1 billion guys in 11 innings. Who are those grinders that you think, maybe deserve a little bit more shine here as we approach the second half for the Knights? Yeah,
well, I'm excited for the second half just because – it's going to be a whole new team, basically, which is a good thing. We wanted that. We wanted those players to go up and make an impact in Chicago, and thankfully they are. But some players, I think you said Addison Coffey has been pretty incredible. Like he has done a really, really good job. Corey Joltz on the position player side has hit incredibly well. Tristan Gray is another guy who, him and Andre Lipsius, they have some big league time, and to their credit, like they've had an incredible attitude every single day. Hey, Skip, whatever you need, like you need me to play, I got you. They've been awesome. They really have. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else. Let's see. Actually, here's a name, and his progression has been pretty awesome. Yoandris Gomez, since he's come down and we plugged him in the rotation, I think the more innings he's got, the more confidence he's felt. And you kind of see him making a turn where, me and Scott, the pitching coach, are kind of like, hey, I kind of like this. This is pretty good. Clevenger has looked fantastic as well. His stuff, I think he was running it up 96, 98 his last start. So there's some guys.
I know. See, that's the thing. You ask Skip, like, hey, who are your favorites? He's like, I don't know. I'll get back to you in an hour and a half. I got 28 guys to name, right?
I'm gonna go over every single guy on my list. Yeah.
Good. That's how it's supposed to work. Sergio, I can't tell you how awesome this was. I really appreciate you coming on the show. You've been a guy that we wanted to get since we started the thing. Thanks for your time, and best of luck in the second half with the Knights.
Awesome. Thank you, Connor. Appreciate it.
You got it. Thanks again for tuning in to Road to the Rate. We'll be back in 2 weeks, talk to a couple of players, perhaps even Paul Llanes, the Director of Player Development for the White Sox. And by the time we have our next podcast, the Major League Draft will have concluded. So, brand new crop of White Sox players to develop, and that's exactly what we do here on Road to the Rate. Big thanks to Sergio Santos. Thanks to you for tuning in. We'll talk to you next time.